Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Talks. Leadership Talks is a podcast hosted by Leadership Card, a leadership coaching training organization. Leadership Card is based on the principles of knowledge, accomplish, reflect, and develop. We are on a mission to empower emerging leaders with tools and skills necessary for their transformation journey. This podcast is for you. If you're on a path of transformation and are looking for ideas from leaders who've gone through this journey. I'm your host, Kirandeep Sandhu, and I'm hosting this episode 12 along with Ms. Ram Ramakrishnan. Today, we will be talking about why leaders need to embrace change. Over to you, Ram.
Thank you, Kiran. In today's episode, we have the privilege of having Srinivasa Raghavan, Srini, fondly called. He is the Chief Financial Officer of Healthcare Global Enterprise. I had a privilege of working with him during my tenure as well. He's a senior finance leader with over 30 years of diversified business experience, of which 20 years in senior management position in manufacturing, IT, ITeS industry. Areas of expertise include startup business turnaround, driving the growth agenda, mergers and acquisition, have been a strong strategic business partner all through his career with demonstrated leadership, strong business ethics, and a change leader. He was CFO of Computer Science Corporation, Logica Global Operations, General Electric, G Lighting, and G Capital. He also worked in Motorola and other companies. He has made immense contribution by driving growth agenda, business turnaround, efficiency and rationalization, cost management, restructuring, merger and acquisition, and institution of governance system process to ensure compliance and controllership. I can keep on talking about it. The time will not be sufficient. He's a recipient of CFO League Excellence Award by CFO 100. Thank you for being part of this podcast, Srini. Welcome.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Kiran. Thanks for this opportunity. And I really look forward to sharing some of my learnings in my career. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Srini, for being part of it. My God, your story, your history, the number of companies and organizations that you have led are amazing. But I want to start off with the first question. Who has been your inspiration to start your leadership journey? Will you be able to start with the starting point of your leadership goals?
Yeah, sure. Let me kind of take a step back at the start of my journey. I come from a simple, humble family background. My father is a farmer and my mother a homemaker. She was instrumental in terms of telling us that you guys, we are a family of 5, I'm the eldest. She was instrumental in telling us you guys have to step out, stand on your own legs, make a life for yourself. Okay, in that process, she just didn't advise us. She led by example. How did she do that? She was a simple SSLC pass, when she got married, and by then she had 5 children, and she studied along with us. Okay, so she finished her PUC, and then when I enrolled myself for CA, she enrolled herself for BA in economics. She studied along with me. In fact, I was having jitter saying that I should ensure that I should finish my CA course before she completes her BA in economics, because I was scared that she might, win the race, actually. So I was that kind of pushed me even more harder to go to that extra length. In fact, I used to drop her in the exam center, go to my exam center on my way back, pick her up. We usually exchange, how did your paper go? How did your paper go? So it was such a nice feeling altogether. She didn't stop there. Actually, touch wood. In fact, to give her credit, she finished her BA ahead of me. I need to admit that. And then she enrolled herself for MA in economics, but for various health reasons, she could not pursue it. But nevertheless, the larger point is that kind of drove us, the kind of energy she brought in, the kind of example, the way in which she led the whole thing. I mean, even today, when I look back, I keep telling her, you were the she says, you studied. I said, no, you were the motivation. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling. I mean, that's something you go through, it's felt, it's experienced. It's beyond words, basically. That's the way I would put it,
I am
Kiran.
feeling the energy as you share, and I am like inspired. And for our listeners, for you to take this away, that we have mothers, and many of them do things in silence, and many of we sometimes don't recognize what they are doing for us. And in Srindi's case, he has the mother who was leading him through that path of change and transformation by leading and showing and leading. Thank you so much, Srini. Over to you,
Thank you.
Ram.
Thank you, Srini, for sharing that inspirational story. And
Okay.
apart from that, I know you had 3 decades of corporate experience. You led many organizations. One of the things is, I'm sure, your leadership style. Do you see that has your leadership style changed over a period and evolved?
Yeah. Here again, let me go back to my roots, Ram. I didn't become a leader on day one. Okay. I started like anybody in life. And over a period of time, I emerged as a leader, basically. I was fortunate enough to become a CFO at the young age of 34 in General Electric. Touchwood. By God's grace, parents' blessings, it happened. But when I started this journey, I had certain natural skills. There are skills that I learned on the job as I went by, and there are certain skills that I learned from my leaders, basically. So all this kind of put together, rounded together, made me a leader. And today, wherever I'm standing today in the corporate life. So in this process, I need to be thankful to all my leaders who made me a leader, basically. So I owe it to them. Point number one. There are a few things, which form the fundamentals of my leadership style that has never changed, which irrespective of the organization that I have worked. So those core things are like, how do you bring people together? How are you be able to be very receptive to thought process ideas from people? How do you show aggression, but aggression with content, not for the sake of it? Fourth point is, which is, how do you kind of ensure that you keep a cool head and ensure that you don't panic, and let the team also not panic in adverse situation? So that's another area which, and more, last but not the least, as a leader, how are you able to create more leaders? I think these are 4 or 5 principles, guiding principles, which I strongly felt that has never changed, in my 3 decades of experience. Those fundamentals have remained the same. And what has probably changed is the way in which I approach certain things. For example, in an American setup where decisions are taken very fast, you think on the feet, you move quick. That's the way it goes about. You got to kind of adapt your lead, all these fundamental questions in a different way. Whereas in an European organization where I work, it was more by consensus, bringing people together. So it's how you adapt to those changing models is the key. But the core values, the core basics, the core principles, that never changed. Probably over a period of time, what has happened is I become a lot more patient, very honestly, a lot more patient, and my ability to absorb good and bad news is lot more better. And in that process, the approachability of people to me, not only by my own function, by cross-functional people also, saying that here is a guy I can go to. He may not be my actual leader, but I know if I go to him, I have a solution for my issue. So that is something that I developed over a period of time. And today, in my current organization, my CEO tells me, see, Srini, you got to be my sounding board. I think that is the evolution I have gone through. That is where I stand today. So to answer your question, my core values have remained the same. Adaptability has been different based on different organization. But end of the day, if I am able to add value to somebody in their process of journey, whether it is my function or some other function, I feel nice about it. I think. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
Absolutely. In
that's
fact, you
great.
answered another question that we had for you, right, Ram?
Yeah. You answered that question as well. And also, I definitely reflect, since being worked with you, very clearly looked at some of it as I learned how a CFO can work so patiently and give time to everybody was amazing, which I had seen my own eyes, and definitely it's a great thing to look at and happen. Great. Yeah.
So
Yes,
and
Kiran.
it's very well put, where you blended the whole thing about how you have evolved by the core staying the same, but creating that adaptability. But now let me just like put it in a little bit more for you, Srini, that for leaders, one is they need to embrace change. We all know that. But how can they embrace change? Because that is, we all know we need to change, we need to evolve, but that change is the hard part. So, what would be your two tips that you can give our emerging leaders to be more receptive to that change?
First, think on this principle. Change is there. Deal with it. One of the greatest learning in GE for me is they always say in any situation, good situation, adverse situation, whatever it is, don't crib. Do something about it. No, do something about it. I mean, things will happen. It's not going to happen the way you want all the time. Just deal with it. Okay, that's point number one. Point number one, and just accept the fact that change is there to stay. What is change basically? You are coming out of your comfort zone. Okay, so when moment you are pulled out of the zone, you feel very iffy about it. So you got to kind of deal with it. So what I typically used to do, Kiran, is when I am confronted with a change, I won't say confronted with the change. When I have to deal with the change, the two ways I deal with it. One is I need to be fully aware of the change process. So I go to be asking the system all the questions that I need to ask, so that I'm able to articulate effectively to the people down below. That's point number one. So I sit across with the system or ask all kind of uncomfortable questions, good, bad. They may be even be thinking at one point in time, is this guy really going to partner with me, or the way he is asking questions. But at the end of the day, I tell them, look, I'm asking this because these are things that I'm going to get confronted with. I better deal with it. So you may not like it, but I'm going to be asking you this, deal with it. So sit across, thrash it out completely, and then be equipped, and then give that confidence to the system. Yep, here we go. That's point number one. Now I come down and download to my peer group or the larger system. And there are many situations where the changes happen across the organization outside my core domain of finance. So it's just not the finance organization I had to deal with. I had to deal with the multiple cross functions as well. So when I bring all of them together, when you start talking to them in the first meeting, get a sense as to how people are thinking. The way I used to handle this is I used to I identify all the key stakeholders that are important to this change. So I name them 1 to 10. I bucketize them into 3 categories: people who for change, against change, neutral to change. Okay, for change, easy to handle. Against change, I love them because I know that they are not for change. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I give them some other work so that I make them distracted from the core. That's fine with me. The dangerous people are the new people who are neutral. They are like cat on the wall, not knowing which way they're going to jump. So that's that's the area where I work. Spend time with them, make them understand, and try to convert them from neutral to for. How do I? So there could be some against also in the process. So be it. That's fine. So convert them. So in that process, I identify a bunch of people who are going to be partner to my change process. What has happened from my experience is that as things develop and people start seeing the light, the against get slowly getting converted into for. So that's it. That's the process I have adopted. It has worked well, touch wood. So far it has worked well. And there are sometimes you got to pull the stick, but you got to deal with it accordingly.
I was when you were talking, it reminded me of the quarters principle of change management, that how basically we have those skeptics over there and we have those who are with us, and then how we need to work around to communicate that change, which you addressed in the first part itself, that ask those questions so that you have all the answers, so that you are equipped to deal with the change. And when the skeptics are asking you, you can answer them back. So that was very well put. Srini, I really enjoyed that, the whole answer to that. Ram, what
coming back to, see, you said change is permanent. Similarly, when people work in organization, those mergers and acquisition also going to be something which is also constantly happening. I know in the current situation, that is what I hear in the industry, because of the post-pandemic, and there's going to be more of those consolidations still going to happen. Given that kind of a situation, since you handle a lot of those mergers and acquisitions and all other thing, I wanted you to tell what is that you want leaders to look at in such kind of a situation. What is that they should be looking forward to?
I'll give my own experience. I've handled two mergers and acquisitions where in one case things went in my favor, in another case things went against me. I'll give both those examples. Okay, let me start with the example where things went in my favor. We got acquired, and the system, the new system, kind of accepted me as a finance leader and let me continue. Okay, so that was relatively easy in the sense the people down below had somebody to look up to, so I had to be the shock absorber, the kind of gatekeeper for them to kind of ensure that there is a seamless way of doing work. What happens in that process is, again, how I kind of adjust to the new way of working. The fundamentals again are not going to change. It's going to be the leadership style that is going to change from a new organization perspective. But your core values, if you have strong belief in yourself and you go about things the way you do it in a professional way, Ram or Ravan doesn't matter, basically. You just deal with that. You just deal with that. Okay. So that is a message. That is a message which I pass on to people down the line. And what I have felt is over a period of couple of 2-3 months, the new system starts understanding, yeah, these guys kind of fine. Let's leave them, and then they will go about it. So in those first 3-4 months is the time where you got to stand up as a leader, give that confidence to the people down the line and to this new system that I'm a solid bridge that can connect all the dots and make things happen. Okay, so for that you got to go that extra mile, extra work to handle. For example, go outside your domain area and tell the new system, I am here to help you on this, I'm here to help you on that. You may be new, I know something about it. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they might say, go mind your own business. Those things are fine. But as long as you do it genuinely, any sensible person is going to listen to you. So when you kind of go that extra mile, give that extra comfort to the new system, and that is how you build confidence. In the process, you give confidence to people down the line, and then over a period of time, the whole process is seamless. That's one part of the journey where things go well, according to you. There was another journey of mine. We got acquired. They decided, but the new organization was very professional enough. They just walked in, called the entire senior management. Thank you very much. You are all out. That's it. Simple. Which I allowed it, which is again fine with me. But the thing is, at least they were very transparent about it. They were very transparent. We know how to deal with it. Okay. You did feel a sense of hurt, feeling, and all that. 24 hours later, I said, fine, this is what it is, deal with it. And again, go back to my GE days, don't crib about it, deal with it, do something about it. So the important thing in this situation is, while you may be hurt, while you might have felt that I worked for this company for so long, and I've done so much, but let emotions not overpower you here. What is very important is to give the right advice to people down the line. So it's typical of people down the line to come and ask you, oh, you're going, the entire team is going, what will happen to us? Should I leave the job? Should I continue? Should I not? Give them the right advice. Don't tell them just because you are hurt or you're feeling bad, don't guide them wrongly. So the advice I've been telling people is, you guys should be fair. You need to give it a shot. Leadership changes do happen. Tomorrow I might have resigned the company and taken another job. Somebody else might have come. Leadership team, things happen. But if you have it in you, you should give it a fair chance. You do not know new organization, you go, what's going to happen to you? So give it a fair chance. As long as your self-respect and your work is well recognized, okay, do not kind of jump the ship. Just go with the flow, manage things. At the end of the day, any sensible organization will let you do the work the way you want to, and they would want people who contribute to the larger organization. People may come and go, but do what is right for you and what is right for the organization. To me, as a leader, it's very important to give those kind of advice, guidance to people down the line without letting your emotions overpower you, so that, end of the day, That I've seen people 5 years down the line. I was in a different company coming and telling me, yeah, you said the right thing. It was easy for us to jump, but I'm doing pretty well. There are guys, who were working under me ended up taking up the top job as well. So the larger point is these things happen to you as a leader. It's how you navigate, how you guide the team under you, and what kind of right advice you give without letting your emotions overpower you. I think those are critical aspects.
Very well put.
That's a
Absolutely.
great input. That's a great input to give. I'm sure today the leaders of current times will understand this is a great input from you. I'm sure it's very valuable to them. Okay.
So that's what when
Yeah.
we talk about that leadership, people who are in leadership positions should have emotional intelligence. They should be able to deal with themselves as with the emotions of other people, and especially in the time of crisis, just what you said. So Srini, that actually brings me to this follow-up question that obviously when these changes happen, you're not only dealing it alone with yourself, you're actually dealing it with a team. And then
Yep.
how, as a leader, do you need to develop a successful team that is able to, go through that change process? What would be your top three, ways that you can develop a team that is resilient enough to withstand the change process?
See, there are 2, 3 key attributes I see in a people when I hire them. Basically, does the person have the right attitude towards work? He or she may be short in skills. I'm ready to live with that. But as long as the person has the right attitude, that is one area that I look at. Second area I look at it is the person ready to go beyond his realm of work. Is he or she ready to jump outside the boundary of his work, and able to understand things from a larger perspective. That is the second skill that I look at a person. And point number 3, how 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 committed is this person towards the larger cause, towards the larger objective of the organization. I don't mind people failing a couple of times as long as the efforts are in the right direction. It happens. Sometimes, there are things that you learn from those failures, the people will eventually learn. I go back to a cricketing analogy. In the CSK team, Shardul Thakur was getting beaten by the opponent team. And, Dhoni never went to him, told him, you bowl it this way. When he was asked subsequently, he said, I'm not going to tell him. This fellow will learn in a hard way. And, I'm sure he'll become all right, in the next game. So that is very, very important. That is very, very important. And people will, does that person have the ability to learn on the way, on the job, and, correct his or her mistakes as the journey goes. And last but not the least, I keep telling my team members, work on things that are in your control. Do not bother about things that are outside your control. Because if you start bringing that into your scheme of things, you start imagining things, even some ghosts which are not existing. So do whatever is in your control well. And if something is out of it, just don't bother about it. You can't do anything about it. So these are some of the things, that I kind of look for people. And, so when I kind of, work along with these people, I look at these kind of attributes, skills, etc., which will kind of, make the team, make those people understand it, and, they're able to effectively pass it down the line. I'll give you another example. Finance department, gets a lot of pride, whenever any bills come to you. You kind of say that, this is not right, that's not right, this is not being filled properly, yes, return the bill. They get a lot of pride. In one of my organization, they used to have this campus interview where 5,000, 6,000 people used to assemble, and then out of the 6,100 people used to get selected. You can understand the challenges the HR organization goes through. It's easy for finance department sitting here and saying that this is not done properly, that's not done properly. What I told them one day was, go and contribute to that campus interview. Go sit with them, HR guys. You don't have to interview them. Do some basic administrative work. Take the file, punch it, put it inside the file, navigate the candidates, Just go through the process, understand the entire process, how things work. And then, you will in your own little way, you'll contribute to HR system. Once they went through those billing, those guys, they came back and, boss, it's not an easy job. It's a bloody
Exactly.
difficult job they are doing, going through. And then they were a lot more empathetic to us, when things started coming in. Well, they adhered to the process, but they were a lot more empathetic. They went out of their way and said that this is the way you guys need to do it. Let me know how I can help you.
Right. Right. Right.
So,
Right.
so, this is how you kind of, make people understand change. This is how you
By
make
putting them
people,
in the
if you
shoes,
bring in the,
yeah, actually, yeah, by literally putting them and asking them to feel those tight shoes, and then saying, okay, it is getting uncomfortable, and if we don't get out of this shoe, we will never understand how it feels to be actually.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely,
Ram,
absolutely.
I'm going to ask you to move towards the last question of this show.
Yes, definitely. I think you had
Because we have
provided a
so
lot
much
of.
to learn from Srini. We're enjoying it that time is just slipping away from our hands. Yes.
That's
So
what
the
I
last
told her also when we are going to interview. That's where the thing. See, definitely, Srini, you had given a lot of inputs. I know we are in the age of the people. They wanted to have everything fast, quick, summarized, and kind of a thing. That is the everyone looks at it. That is where I'm going to ask if, as an emerging leader, we deal with all emerging leaders, and if you have to advise that one message for emerging leader, how to lead through the change. If you wanted to talk to them, what is that you would lead to them?
One, have faith in yourself. If you have faith in yourself, you can inculcate that faith on people down the line. Believe in, stand up. Tough situation, best situation, stand up. And then give them that support, confidence that, yep, we are all there. We are in this game together. When you kind of give that posture, give that confidence to people, the results are amazing. Amazing, I can tell you. Okay, that is point number one. Point number one. Point number two, success is theirs, failure is yours. Okay, make that happen. Recognize at every forum. Recognize at every forum the success of some of your people. Okay, let the larger audience be aware that it's just not you. I know it's a larger system that contributed. Yesterday, I had a review with my boss, my own appraisal. The first thing he asked me, what led to your success? I said, these are two of my guys without whom I would not have been successful in my job.
right.
Admit it, because they are facts. They are facts. So you got to make that happen. You got to recognize those people who have been part of the journey. The way I see this is like, I keep saying this. If today, when you walk into the office, if the security guard salutes you, it's for the respect for your position. If the same security guard salutes you after 5 years of your retirement, when he sees you on the road, that is the respect you have earned as a leader. When you meet somebody in an airport or in a coffee shop, they come running to you and want to have a cup of coffee with you, you have earned your respect as a leader. If they see you and don't go the other way, then you know what you have earned. So end of the day, leadership is not about being a boss. It's about creating that trust, creating that culture, creating that relationship over a period of time. Make that happen. You will feel happy. You will make everybody happy. And the delight you get that you have created more leaders underneath you, I mean, that feeling is awesome. You got to feel it. You will go through it. And when you feel that, look back and see, this is a guy who worked for me, is a CFO of so-and-so organization. I have some 7, 8 people I can quote today who worked with me, who are now CFOs in larger organizations. The feeling I get, the nice, but even today I have a lot of respect for you, but the feeling I get is, look, I created so many leaders. That's a feeling, and I sleep well in the night. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Srini. That was such an amazing conversation about change and leading organizations. I mean, I can keep going on, but I would like to say that my top three learnings for today would be that number one, as a leader, deal with the change without any emotional drama. Number two is that communicate that change with transparency and ask those difficult questions so that you are equipped to lead yourself as well as the team through that change
True.
process. And number 3, as what you shared, was work what is in your control and don't worry about what you can't change. So these are my 3 learnings for today. I want to thank you, Srini, for joining us today, and all our listeners. As we say that Leadership Talks is a podcast which is for emerging leaders, where you can hear leadership tips from leaders who've gone through this journey. Today we had an insightful talk with Mr. Srini, and we will be back next week with another leader to share their leadership journey. For now, this is Kiran signing off along with Mr. Ram Ramakrishnan and Mrs. Srini. Thank you for
Thank you
joining us.
so much. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.